Welcome everybody to this special episode of FlockTalk. Cole Martin, the play-by-play broadcaster, and I am very pleased to be joined by former Surrey Eagles play-by-play voice and the current voice of the Vancouver Canucks on Sportsnet 650, Brendan Batchelor. Brendan, thank you so much for doing this, and how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. It's great to be back in Surrey. Some of the best years of my career, or the best year of my career, was spent with the Eagles, so I'm really happy to be here.
From your perspective, you did 1 year here with the Eagles, you did 4 years with the Vancouver Giants, and now you see yourself kind of at the pinnacle of where you want to be. I want to get your perspective on your journey for any future aspiring broadcasters who might want to tune in. What was that like for you going up through the ranks?
Well, my year in Surrey was really important for me to, learn my craft because, I didn't have a color analyst, and this was my first opportunity to do play-by-play on a full-time basis. So I learned on the fly because, there's no safety net. You're calling on hockey TV or, I had an audio stream that I ran at the time, and you've got to find a way to fill time, fill content, fill intermissions. And so it made me a better broadcaster just because, I had to learn how to be on the air by myself, talking to myself for 3 hours sometimes, maybe even more. So it was a crucial year for me, and then also the fact that the team was so successful that I got a chance to call some very big and important games and a championship. That's experience that was super valuable for me, and I think was really crucial in allowing me to make the jump to the Western Hockey League right away. And then my 4 years with the Giants were great too. I got to work with a very experienced color analyst in Bill Wilms, who has seen everything in the game of hockey and provided a lot of great perspective for me. And at that point, it was just about getting more repetition. The more games you call, the more comfortable you get. The more you're able to build your broadcast and broadcasting abilities out. And, my experience with the Giants was great as well, because when you work for a junior hockey team, as I'm sure you're aware, you're not just the play-by-play guy. You do everything and anything that needs to be done to help the team have success. So I did the media relations, I ran the website, I ran the social media channels, I painted the dressing room one summer. This is what it's like working in junior hockey, is you chip in and do whatever you can to help things succeed. So, having that experience too, and understanding that it takes a lot of work to be successful in this industry, I think really set me up well for the opportunity that came along about 3 years ago, I guess it was now, when I was given the opportunity to call Canuck games on Sportsnet 650.
Of course, hopefully you can tune into Mr. Batchelor on the 650 airwaves as the NHL season is trying to work so hard to get their season underway. But now let's talk about some of the best memories that you have had calling games. You've had about 8 seasons now working as a broadcaster. What are some of the most memorable games from your career?
Well, certainly at the top of the list in terms of playoff implications would be that Fred Page Cup championship game. It's the only championship goal I've ever had a chance to broadcast. The Vancouver Giants weren't a very good hockey club during the 4 years that I worked for them. They made the playoffs once, but were swept in the first round. So I went from working in Surrey and having a tremendous experience of covering a championship team to covering a team that was right at the bottom of the standings for a number of years. But, that double overtime goal, Adam Tambellini scoring in Penticton to give the Eagles the Fred Page Cup is one of those games. And then, you look back at this year and the Vancouver Canucks and their improbable playoff run. Chris Tanev's series-clinching overtime winning goal. Bo Horvat scored a big overtime goal in the series against the St. Louis Blues. And although our broadcast situation was unique in that we weren't in the building, we were calling it remotely from a studio here in Vancouver, those are still pretty big moments that, now I can say I called an overtime playoff goal in the National Hockey League. And then, the one that really jumps out from the NHL level in terms of one that I was there for in person was Daniel and Henrik Sedin's final home game at Rogers Arena, and just all the emotion that went into that game and the excitement when they scored the overtime winner against the Arizona Coyotes. That's a night I'll never forget.
That is a night that most Canucks fans won't ever forget. It gives me chills, like kind of how chilly the weather is right now. It was an incredible game to witness. I'm mad that I didn't get tickets for that one, but I digress. As we are, we're in December now. Christmas or whatever you celebrate. The holidays are on the way. Mr. Batchelor, do you have any special holiday traditions that you or your family like to do?
Yeah, although this year is going to be very different. A little bit. Just because, we're not going to be able to see extended family. So my wife is originally from Penticton, and her parents are V's season ticket holders. I don't hold it against them, but
It's okay. It's okay.
And actually, funny story, they were in attendance when the Eagles won the Fred Page Cup, and I hadn't even met my wife yet, so kind of one of those funny stories that came around. But we were planning to go see them and spend time in Penticton. Obviously, with the restrictions with the pandemic right now, that's not going to be happening, so that's unfortunate. So this year won't be a year of traditions, really. It'll just be a year to relax at home and spend time with my wife. We're expecting our first child next year, so some quality time before we lose sleep, I guess, is what we're looking forward to the holiday season.
Congratulations on the news as well.
Thank you very much.
I was a terrible young kid. I don't think I gave my parents any breaks, so I can't relate just yet. Now we're going to shift back to junior hockey and the way that Junior A has developed, because I know that you've probably noticed now. You talked about Troy Stecher, you talked about Devon Toews, but the collegiate route is becoming more popular amongst kids, while the WHL and the CHL, still maintains its relevancy. What have you noticed from junior hockey, from Junior A all the way to Major Junior and the collegiate route, as far as where players are going to play?
Yeah, it's a unique choice for every player, but to me, I think the BCHL is a tremendous route to go. To me, it has always been one of the best routes to go if you want to play college hockey, because you can get a great education in the States. For players that want to make sure they're ready before they make the jump to pro, you get more time to develop by playing in the BCHL and then playing in college. And I think we're seeing, you bring up Troy Stecher, you look at Devon Toews, who played with the Eagles here, or whoever it might be. There are more and more players choosing to go that route because it makes a lot of sense, especially, if you're a late bloomer, or you're an undersized player, or someone that, might not get the ice time in the Western Hockey League or the Canadian Hockey League that you would playing in the BCHL. You've got more of that time to develop your game and get to a point where you are ready to make the jump to pro. And then you look at some of the colleges in the States and some of the programs there and the high level of hockey and the commitment they have to those programs. That you understand why players choose that route. So I don't begrudge any player who chooses to go to the CHL or the Junior A route or whatever, but I've always said that if I was a player and I had to make that choice, I would be playing in the BCHL all day long.
You gotta think about education as well. I'm not the greatest player. That's why I talk about the sport instead of trying to play it.
Me too. Don't worry.
Yeah, there's a lot of fantastic kids that go through in both routes. One that is kind of standing out right now just scored a great goal for Michigan, Kent Johnson, the former Trail Smoke Eater, who looks to be a top pick in his draft class. So there's a lot to be excited for about that. We're talking here with Brendan Batchelor, current Canucks broadcaster, former Eagles broadcaster, about the 2013 team, and as well as a whole bunch of other things. What were some other memories from that 2013 Eagles season that you can recall, other than Adam Tambellini's double OT winner to win it all and to win the Fred Page Cup?
Yeah, I can just remember, for me it was very exciting because, they win the championship and that playoff run was tremendous and being able to follow the team was exciting. And then you go to the Western Canada Cup in Nanaimo, of course, the now defunct Western Canada Cup. And, to be in that sort of atmosphere with teams from all across Western Canada and to see the Eagles have such success and win that tournament. It was actually the inaugural tournament, so to be the first team that had their name on that trophy, and then to get to travel across the country with this group and go to Prince Edward Island, to Summerside, to somewhere I'd never been before. I haven't been since, but I do want to get back because I really enjoyed our visit there. And then, these incredibly high stakes hockey games. And then, what stands out from a less positive perspective is just the incredible disappointment when the team lost in overtime in the semifinal, and there was some controversy around that too. I remember Devon Toews was hit from behind into the boards, had to leave the game. There was no penalty on the play. The coaching staff was livid, and Summerside, the host team, ended up winning the game and eliminating the Eagles. Really at that point, the Eagles had dominated, not just through the playoffs and the Western Canada Cup, but they had been very strong out at Summerside as well for the national championship tournament, to the point that when they lost in overtime in that game, it was the first time they had faced elimination all season long. So it's a year that I remember for tremendous highs that unfortunately ended about one game too short.
Well, Mr. Batchelor, Brendan, this was an incredible experience, not just for myself, but for everybody involved. I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to come back out to South Surrey front of the South Surrey Arena to do this. Thank you so much for that. And to everybody who might be tuning in, I do hope that you are all staying safe this holiday season. COVID-19 is still rampaging throughout Canada and the province, so please stay safe, mask up, do what you need to do to keep yourselves happy and healthy throughout the holiday season. And final thoughts there, Brendan, on everything that you've shared, and maybe one last thing that you wanted to say.
Yeah, my season with the Surrey Eagles was the most memorable of my career to this point. As I said, I built friendships and relationships that are maintained to this day, and I remain an Eagles fan, so I'm excited to see the BCHL get back on the ice as soon as they're able to, and go Eagles.
If you have any tips, please let me know. I'm always trying to get better. To everybody tuning in from the West Coast to the East Coast of North America and around the globe, I hope you all have a great rest of your day.